It was silence. The silence before the storm. Inside Sol system, transmissions ceased. Embassies shuttered. Diplomats went dark. The chatter of Earth's trade fleets and colony channels slowed to a whisper, then cut altogether. To the galaxy, it looked as though humanity had withdrawn in shame. To the Zyral, it was proof of cowardice. But to those who watched more carefully, a terrible truth emerged. Human-civilian traffic, always thick with colony ships, traders, and transports, suddenly diverted. Civilian convoys disappeared into deep docks. Shipyards that usually bustled with freighters and science vessels went quiet, and then lit with fire. For the first time in centuries, Sol's orbital rings glowed red at all hours. Engines roared, reactors burned, and construction scaffolds stretched like vast spiderwebs across the void. Dreadnoughts stirred in their cradles. Carrier groups rose from icy shipyards hidden in Pluto's shadow. Weapons long mothballed awoke, humming with fresh power. The silence was not weakness. It was preparation. And when the first message finally left Earth, it was short, cold, and broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. One human life was taken, 1,000 warships answer. The awakening of iron and fire. The galaxy trembled. From Neptune's hidden forges, battleships emerged like leviathans rising from a black sea. From the asteroid belts, cruisers swarmed like hunting packs. From Mars' deserts, troop transports, dark, angular, unstoppable, ignited their drives. Humanity's fleets did not trickle out, they erupted. 1,000 warships, new, old, secret, and experimental, swept outward in synchronized fury. Entire constellations seemed to shift as their formations blotted out the stars. Galactic observers gasped. No one had imagined Earth had built so much. The Zyral laughed when humans called their fleets defensive. No one realized what humanity meant by defense, the ability to annihilate any who struck first. For every ship the Zyral thought humanity possessed, 5 more appeared. For every dreadnought they imagined would take decades to build, 3 were already hidden, fully armed, waiting. The galaxy began to whisper in fear. What have the humans been preparing for? The answer came as the fleets crossed the dark. The March of Retribution. The Zyral Dominion's frontier picket fleets detected the first human arrivals at the edge of their space. They expected a raiding force, a token retaliation. Instead, the void unfolded, and the horizon burned. Dozens of human carriers spilled fighters like hives of furious hornets. Battleships as large as cities aligned their weapons, their broadside arrays glowing brighter than suns. Destroyers screamed ahead, engines trailing blue fire, lances of energy already cutting through Zyral scouts. The Zyral picket fleet did not last an hour. Survivors transmitted frantic warnings back to the core, but by the time their signals arrived, so did the humans. In less than a week, 20 Zyral colonies were reduced to ash. Planetary defense networks crumpled, orbital stations shattered, garrisons slaughtered. The Zyral, once smug and laughing, now found themselves choking on their own arrogance. The galaxy watched in horror as the scale became clear. Humanity was not striking for vengeance alone. Humanity was striking for memory, to make the point eternal. Fire across the stars. Every engagement was the same. The Zyral would rally fleets of hundreds, glorious armadas honed by centuries of conquest. They had no doubt they would hold. But when human warships arrived, the skies darkened with overwhelming force. Thousands of fighters swarmed. Bombardments struck like the fist of angry gods. Zyral formations broke apart under precision strikes that seemed almost cruel in their efficiency. On the ground, human marines descended like storms. Armored dropships fell through atmospheres like meteors, disgorging soldiers clad in black armor, weapons humming with blue light. Entire Zyral divisions broke before they could even fire. Cities burned, shipyards detonated. And above it all, the human fleets advanced, relentless, unstoppable, answering one death with an empire's destruction. The Zyral's laughter was gone. Now their broadcasts were filled with desperate pleas. We meant no insult. Cease your attack. We recognize humanity's strength. We beg for peace. But Earth did not reply, because vengeance was already in motion. The fall of the prefect. At last, the human fleets reached Zyral Prime. The once-proud jewel of the Dominion was a fortress world, ringed by titanic defense platforms and home to billions. It was said no invader could ever breach its shielded skies. But as the human armada emerged from the void, the stars disappeared. The Zyral looked up and saw only ships, a metal horizon stretching in every direction. The bombardment began. Planetary shields buckled under relentless fire, cracks spreading until they shattered like glass. Towers fell, oceans boiled, and the Zyral capital turned to ash. In the ruins of his palace, the prefect who had killed Elia's harrow tried to flee. His guards deserted. His fleets burned above him. And when the human marines found him, they dragged him into the open, cast him before their commander. The prefect begged. He wept. He pleaded that it was only one life, a single envoy, meaningless in the vastness of history. The human commander looked down with eyes as cold as the void. One life is everything, and yours is nothing. The execution was swift. Aftermath, a whisper in the dark. When the fires finally faded, the Zyral Dominion was gone. Its fleets shattered, its worlds broken, its rulers slain. An empire that had lasted millennia erased in less than a year. The galaxy trembled. The lesson was written in fire and blood. Humanity had been patient. Humanity had been quiet. But when provoked, they did not forgive. They did not forget. They did not stop. Across the stars, whispers spread in every council, every throne room, every war chamber. Never provoke Earth again. One life taken had unleashed a storm of vengeance. And in the silence that followed, every species understood. Humanity's patience is vast, but their vengeance is infinite. The execution was public. On the burning sands of Zelith Prime, the Zarkai Imperium dragged a single human ambassador before a cheering crowd of their soldiers. His hands were bound, his face bruised, but his eyes, those human eyes, remained steady. The Zarkai commander raised a blade coated in ceremonial venom and declared to the galaxy's gathered watchers, "Let all species see. Humanity is no more than a fragile reed in the storm. One life taken and Earth will tremble but do nothing. They will hide behind words, behind councils, behind peace treaties. Today, we carve their weakness into history." The blade fell, one life ended. The Zarkai celebrated, broadcasting the execution across the trade networks, laughing at the stillness of Earth's response. To them, humanity was soft clay good for trade, weak for war. And now, with one deliberate act of cruelty, they had tested the clay with fire. They were certain it would crumble. The feast of arrogance. The Zarkai warlords gathered in orbit, their ships circling the planet like vultures. Banquets erupted aboard their flagships. The commander drank crimson wine and toasted to humanity. Cowardice. "They have fleets, yes," sneered one admiral, fangs glinting in the starlight. "But they are old, scattered, slow. Earth fears bloodshed. They cling to peace like a drowning thing clings to driftwood." Others laughed. their voices echoing through the halls of steel. The humans talk of alliances and councils. Words, empty words. They will mourn their envoy, yes, but retaliation, impossible. They would never risk the galaxy's balance. And so the Zarkai feasted, boasting of future campaigns. They dreamed of colonies burned, trade lanes seized, and humans forced to kneel. Yet in their arrogance, they did not notice the silence. Because Earth had not spoken. The silence before the storm. Across the galaxy, other species whispered uneasily. Why had Earth not answered? Why had no human voice condemned the act? The humans were many things, quiet, patient, slow to anger, but never had they ignored an insult this grave. The Zarkai laughed at the silence, but the oldest species of the stars knew better. They shivered, for they remembered fragments of history, records scarred into ruins and ashes. Humanity does not answer with words. Humanity answers with war. On Earth itself, beneath the oceans, in craters of the moon, and deep in Martian caverns, vaults stirred. Codes long dormant unlocked. Engines older than most empires coughed awake. Signals pulsed across dark networks, silent to alien ears but deafening to human fleets. Mobilize. When the stars trembled. The first Zarkai ship to notice was a scout drifting near the Sol Gate. Its sensors screamed warnings as hundreds of drives ignited at once. From Jupiter's shadow, massive silhouettes emerged, dreadnoughts with hulls blacker than night, bristling with weapons that glowed like caged suns. The vessels bore no insignia. Only one word flashed on encrypted channels again and again, like the toll of a funeral bell. Vengeance. The Zarkai laughed no longer.